Welcome to Healing Depression. In this video, we talk about financial fear. In another video, we talked about facing our fears and how fears create blockages on the surface of our mind, and they also create emotions and biological substances inside our body. So, before going further, I apologize if there are noises in the background. This video is recorded in the town where there are cars passing by. If there are noises, I already apologize. If there are no noises, so it's more clear. So, financial fear is one of the aspects that we face during the burnout and depression, because in this period we are less able to work and to create incomes. So there is either already the reduction in the income, or we are having anxiety and fears that our income is going to be reduced. And if we look, what are the future of this fear and situation? In reality, we also may like to see what needs of us are going to be unresponded if these fears become reality. And one of these fears is about food. So literally it said that there are three physical needs, the basic needs of a human. It's food, shelter, and clothes. The physical basic to survive. And one of the fears that we often have, even if we are not through depression, but many times on the news it's talked about food shortage. But food shortage in a global sense is for everyone. During depression, food may become a question as a fear, because we are having this financial instability, and most of us have already had fear of enough food in our life. Probably all of us that went through depression, or majority of us, most of the time had more food in the fridge or more money that could feed ourselves. And now it's coming to us as a fear, because we are having this depressive episode and anxiety about our income. So what happens is, how we can deal with that. So one way to go is to face it, and to face the financial breakdown, financial shortage in one daily life. So exposing ourselves to a hypothetical scenario that we actually go broke and we don't have money to buy food. So what happens is, imagine that tomorrow or just today from now, you don't have food, you don't have money, and you are going to arrange the food. So it it will indeed bring a lot of knowledge and wisdom that we often overlook, or it does not come to us because we are always fed this scenario that how much we need indeed food goes under a total shade. So how much food do I need? This is the first thing I'm gonna face. And what kind of food do I need? And behind that, anyway, how do I find the food? One simple way to do that is to just go around the town and see if there is no money in this pocket, how is possible to have access to food. So if you do this, one of the things I figured out is that some people indeed look into trash bins and they often find so many food there. Now the question is, are you going to eat that? Some people already says it's so anti-hygiene, it's unhealthy, and all of that. So my experience is that this is a very general statement, because first, you don't know where you find the food. Sometimes the food is totally outside the trash, someone has left it. Second, it's connected to another anxiety. This statement is anxiety about health and getting sick and becoming unhealthy. Again, there are so many people, if you start doing this practice, you will see there are so many people indeed healthier than many of us, that these people actually find and eat the food near trash bin or even sometimes in the trash bin. And the trick is that you need to be also look at the food and see if it's eatable, and if your body and your mind experience tells you this is a clean food, and then you taste it if it's clean food, and then see if it's the odor and the smell is fine. So using the senses in reality, instead of just having one general idea that anything in the trash is unhealthy. Even some people told me it's someone else's food, someone has touched this, and if it was good, why it's in the trash? So these are all blocking us. Indeed, if the main road is so crowded, one reason is that you are all having the same opinion. So if everyone is going to supermarket, if everyone wants to have the most common way of getting food, or in general getting and achieving something, then we are going to have traffic. While sometimes the other street that is considered a taboo or is considered having some bumps and not so very comfortable is indeed a very empty street. And with just some patience and slowing down, is drivable, is walkable. So my experience of doing a few days, I did only a few days of looking into trash, is that you indeed may find so many food in different trash and container. It depends which country you are and how the trash is managed. So sometimes the trash is totally open, sometimes it's closed. Sometimes you can even look around restaurants, sometimes near supermarkets, sometimes near open street markets, and still, if it's a fruit or vegetable market, you may find much of them around. Because people who have access to food, for example, in the kitchen of a restaurant, or if someone is a waiter, after a while they really don't care about food because they're so much exposed to food. Imagine you are a chef. How much food you have? You're always full. You indeed never barely fancy food. You may fancy a car, or in a city you may fancy intimacy with someone, or you fancy days off, having more time you can take off. But if you are a chef, probably you don't fancy food. So for you, putting so much leftover fresh food into trash is indeed very normal because your mind is secure about food. But for someone else, food is insecurity because of the access, physical access. So, food, another way that I've seen by people who practice this anxiety of food is to ask people. So if you don't find it, then maybe you can ask where the food, the free food, is available. And apparently there are many ways, and there are many people who like to share food. Sometimes they don't know how to share their food. Sometimes they don't have time. Sometimes we don't know. People are living in town and they don't know there are places that the food is shared. Just Google them, ask around, look for minority groups, how they, people in poverty, how they find food. Many of these people indeed don't have mental situation. Mental situation means they are not having anxiety about food. And when we enter this domain, like any domain, if we keep our mind healthy, meaning ability to focus and contemplate and imagine different scenarios, calculate, not too extreme, but in a very easy functional way, we may see that many ideas are coming to us, many ideas. And in this process, our mind will be more creative and entrepreneur. Because again, when you go out of the public mainstream of thinking, of providing our needs, we are going to be more creative, more alternative. The other thing that I faced personally was when I was looking into the trash, I also met people that I felt uncomfortable, because you may face a part of the society looking into the trash that are not in the same class that you have been so far. So one of this class is very poor people living in, or not necessarily poor, but different culture, living in ghetto or communities that we are not used to. And I avoid using names because then it will be stigmatized more. But over this process, I was experiencing this feeling that I don't want to do that. While looking in the trash by itself was strange in the beginning because other people may look at you. So this social distress, which over time went away because people not necessarily look at you down. Some of them look at you indeed with no emotion. Some of you may have sympathy with you. Or if they have any judgment, anyway, it's just what is in their head and it's in the program that they are receiving from other impressions. So we have another video about how and why people feel and think in a certain way, which is usually a program. It's an accumulation of impressions from our environment, from our social environment, our culture. And back to the topic, uh, when I met other people, I was close to other people who were also looking into trash. I had this uncomfortableness that I don't want to be one of them, and I don't want to be seen as one of them. I even don't want to imagine someone is looking at me like that, and I even don't want to imagine one day by continuing this as a lifestyle to be like that. However, by continuing, so not stopping there, because this could be very strong, stopping you going over, continue. Over time, another emotion comes that, okay, it's true that you have this feeling, but there is still some benefits there. So there is a reason these people are doing that. And this is just normal human looking for food. So if you don't like, if you are not having, if you are not enjoying the other person, maybe is in your past thoughts, or maybe there is physicality in this person. For example, for me, I met these people looking in the trash, and they were ignorant, like they were unrespectful to me. But we meet this kind of behavior everywhere. We even see them in an office we work. We see them in the bus sometimes, and that doesn't mean that we are going to be exactly like everyone we meet in a bus or in a public. So in looking at the trash is the same, and asking for food is the same. And you will see by doing more that people indeed may look at you or may feel you in totally different ways. Some people look at you with empathy, some people having totally ignorance because they have no space in the mind and in emotional space, emotional aspect of their being. They are so busy with so many other things, or they are also blocked somehow. So This is the experience you may try, and write comments if you you are putting it into action, and let's exchange what wisdom comes to us.